The beef industry contributes to climate change in two main ways. First, as cows belch and pass wind, they release methane, a potent greenhouse gas. And second, cattle ranchers often cut down forests to make space for their herds. This deforestation causes carbon dioxide to be released into the atmosphere. In total, beef production is responsible for around 6% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's roughly equal to the total emissions of the construction industry. But how easy would it be for cattle ranchers to reduce their carbon footprint? At Rothamsted Research Farm in Devon, scientists are working to come up with some answers. Over the past 6 years, researchers here have been collecting emissions data from individual animals to try to work out what causes some cows to emit more than others. The 60-hectare farm is split into 3 plots known as farmlets. The first is made up of fields that have been left unmanaged for at least 20 years. The second is made up of white clover and grass, while the third is made up of pure grass. These 3 plots allow the researchers to study whether what a cow eats can affect its carbon footprint. Graham McAuliffe is the lead researcher of the new study. His team were able to measure the emissions of each cow by weighing them at regular intervals.
An animal needs energy for growth, for maintenance, for pregnancy, lactation and so on. So we add all those requirements together and then we can estimate how much grass or silage the animals need to eat. And from there you can estimate how much methane is released. So how we were able to do that for the individual animals was because we're constantly measuring every animal from every farmlet every 2 weeks. We bring them in and we weigh them. So we've got a really high temporal understanding of how an animal performs well from week to week.
The results show that cows fed on a mixture of white clover and grass tend to have the smallest carbon footprints. This is because clover is a legume, meaning it's able to capture nitrogen from the air. That means growing clover minimises the need to apply nitrogen fertilisers.
The white clover system can have a lot lower a lower carbon footprint because we don't put nitrogen on it. So that not only avoids the emissions associated with applying nitrogen fertilizer, but it also means that the upstream emissions from the actual production of that nitrogen fertilizer is also avoided from the system.
But even within each farmlet, some cows have larger carbon footprints than others. This chart shows the carbon footprints of the best and worst performing cows on each farmlet. Poor performers have the largest carbon footprints. This is because they take longer to put on weight, meaning they spend more time out on the farm where they emit more methane. The researchers say it is still not clear why some cows are lower performers than others, but it's likely to be influenced by genetics. In the future, it's possible that high-performing cows could be bred together to produce offspring that also have a low carbon footprint. McAuliffe says this technique may one day help cattle farmers to reduce their carbon footprint.
What we're doing going forward is we're actually developing a system whereby we're using genetic selection to optimise the traits to maximise performance potential. And that's an experiment that's ongoing.
However, cutting emissions from beef production can only take us so far, says Dr. Tara Garnett, who is a scientist at the Food Climate Research Network at the University of Oxford. Her research suggests that convincing consumers to eat less meat will also be important to cutting beef's carbon footprint.
There are things you can do on the production side to moderate greenhouse gas emissions from the farming sector, but they will only get you so far. And at the end of the day, high consuming individuals and countries need to be cutting back on the amount of meat that they consume.